Hey everyone, this is Daryl and my website is cutterpunk.com, and today I'm bringing you a video tutorial on how to calibrate your KNK Force for print and cut. To get started, all you need is your design software like Make the Cut or Cuts-A-Lot, Inkscape, or AI, whatever you're using, a printer, your blade and your blade holder, some printer paper, and the calibration file. The calibration file is available for download at my website. You go to knkforce.cutterpunk.com and download the basic shapes for test cutting. It's in there. When you uncompress that file, you'll see these two files, and those are the ones that we want to focus on for the calibration. In your design software, I'm using Cuts-A-Lot here, we want to import the calibration file that was in the basic shapes file I showed you just a second ago. So there's one for A4 and one for letter. I'm going to use the letter one. Great. So now that it's imported, you want to drag it up to the top left-hand corner of the mat and leave about a 1/4 inch margin on either side just to make sure it prints well on the paper. Now select only the arrows, and we're going to set the stroke color to black. And that way we can see where the blade is cutting a bit better and see where it's fitting inside of that line around the shape. Alright, now we can print our file. Just click File and Print, and then print about 5 or 10 copies of this in advance. And if you see an option to scale the design to fit the paper, turn that off. We want to print this at 100%, the actual size. And here's what the printed copy looks like. Now this next part's very important. This is the way that you want the paper placed on your mat, and we're going to insert it in the direction of the arrows into the front of your force. See how the arrows are pointing to the right once it's inserted? Make sure your pinch wheels are centered under the gray rectangles. Also, use only the 2 outer pinch wheels, leave the middle one up or just move it out of the way. And make sure your blade tension's set correctly before cutting. Now it's time to start working in C3. It's a lot easier to calibrate your machine if you're working in millimeters instead of inches, so let's go into machine settings and change our units to millimeters, then click Apply. Great, now we can go into machine settings and input the base values that Sandy provides in the user manual. They're a great place to start, and you should only have to adjust X or Y a little bit in either direction to be good. And now we can go ahead and load up the calibration file. We're going to use the same file that we printed, so for me that was letter. After loading a print and cut file, the first thing you want to do is make sure that the reg marks layer is on the bottom. If it isn't, just select it and click Cut this layer later until it moves itself all the way to the bottom. We're aiming for accuracy and not speed here, so let's slow down our cutting speed, slow down our up speed, and also lower the plunge speed a little bit too. And of course, don't forget to set your blade offset. Click on Advanced Settings and then select the Reg Marks layer under the Print and Cut Registration layer drop-down. That's it, now you're ready to cut. Now it's time to put those registration marks to work. Use your keyboard or click the on-screen arrows to center the blade holder over the corner of the first registration mark, then click Continue. The blade holder will now move over a little bit and the camera will take a picture. If your first picture's bad, just click Move Camera and you can take another one. There we go. Once your image is loaded, click the corner of the registration mark, or you can also zoom in and use your keyboard for finer control. Click Continue when you're done. Now the blade holder is going to move over all the way to the other mark. If you did a good job lining up the first one, you shouldn't have to move the camera at all. Just click Continue and try it out. If you need to take another picture, there's always that Move Camera button. Again, just click the corner, use your keyboard to move it into place, make sure you've got good alignment, and click Continue. It'll move over to the third mark, repeat the same process. After you select the third mark and click Continue, your job should start cutting. Now that we've cut our first set of arrows, let's take a look at them and see what kind of adjustments to our offsets we have to make. So taking a look at the arrows I cut, it looks like my cut line is left of the print line, and it also looks like it's above the print line. So that means I have to increase X and also increase Y. So now let's jump back into C3 and update our offsets. You're going to do this a bunch of times, so start by adjusting in 1mm increments, then reduce it to 0.5 mm increments, and then finally 1/10 mm increments, and you can dial that down until you get perfect cuts. If you're not familiar with the metric system, just think of these numbers like counting money. Let's say my Y offset is 6.25 or $6.25. I could reduce that down to $6.01 or 6.01, or go all the way up to $7.00, $7. Keep adjusting your offsets and cutting sheets of arrows until you get perfect print cuts. If you have trouble seeing the lines, take a photo with your phone and just zoom in on it with your screen so you can see better. Once you're happy with the result, write down your numbers or take a screenshot of the offsets. And you can also go back in machine settings and change from millimeters back to inches. That's it, you're done.